Hi everyone, so in this video I want to share my personal response and analysis of a poem titled Home by Warsan. This poem talks about refugees, displacement, and the painful reason why people are forced to leave their homes. I'm going to explain the meaning of the poem, the literary elements, and also my personal opinion about it in a simple and relatable way. So, Home is a contemporary poem written by Warsan, a poet who often writes about identity, migration, and human suffering. In this poem, she challenges the idea that people leave the countries because they want to. Instead, she shows that migration often happens because things becomes dangerous. The poem invites readers to understand refugees not as strangers, but as human beings who are trying to survive. So, the main idea of the poem is very clear. No one leaves their home unless they are forced to. The poet explained that people only escape when their home turns into a place of fear. This message is very strong because it changes the way we usually think about refugees. One of the most powerful lines in the poem says, "No one leaves home unless home is the moon of a shire." This line means that home becomes something dangerous, something that can destroy you. The poet used this metaphor to explain that living is not a choice, but a form of survival. Now, let's talk about figurative language and imagery. The poem used a lot of metaphors and strong images. For example, comparing home to the moon of the shark creates a very frightening picture. As shark represents danger, fear, and death. So when home is compared to that, we immediately understand how unsafe the situation is. Another strong image appears in this line. You have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. This imagery is very emotional. Normally, water in the sea are dangerous, especially for children. But in the poem, the land becomes even more dangerous than the ocean. This reflection makes the message very powerful. Through the images, the poem helps readers imagine the fear, desperation, and the pain experienced by refugees. And next, let's talk about diction and tone. Right, the diction in this poem is very simple and direct. The poem does not use difficult or completely vocabulary. This makes the poem easy to understand and emotionally strong. The simplicity makes the message feel honest and real. The tone of the poem is serious, emotional, and sometimes even accusatory. It feels like the poet is speaking directly to the reader and asking us to pay attention. Personally, I think this tone is very effective because it makes art comfortable in a good way. It forces us to reflect on our judgment toward refugees. So, personally, I find this poem very touching and meaningful. It made me realize how privileged many of us are to live life in safety without thinking about what others are going through. Before reading this poem, I didn't really think deeply about the emotional side of migration. But after reading it, I understand that people do not leave their homes easily. They leave because they have no other option. I also like how the poem speaks honestly and barefully. It does not try to sound beautiful just for aesthetic, but instead focus on telling the truth. The honest makes the poem powerful and unforgettable for me. And even though the poem does not use statistics or data, it still provides strong advice, the true emotional expressions. The repeated ideas, strong metaphors, and vivid imagery acts as part of the poet's message. The post show that poetry can be a powerful way to communicate social uses and human suffering. It reminds us that behind the words refugees, there are real people with their families and stories. So, to conclude, Home by Warsan Shire is a powerful poem that talks about displacement, fear, and survival. Through strong imagery, effective diction, emotional tone, and figurative language, the poem delivers an important message about humanity. My personal response to this poem is empathy and awareness. It encouraged me to be more understanding and less judgment toward people who are forced to leave their homes. Overall, this poem successfully combines emotion and meaning, making it a strong example of contemporary poetry. Thank you for the watching and bye bye.